I think something that's cool is the idea of the next social media and what it might look like. Something I've been following for a while now is like virtual reality, spatial intelligence, world models, and all that. I think not the next wave of social media, but the one after, you're likely to have more native VR, AR social media platforms in the sense that it would be a content creation will be active bringing people into different spaces. So it may be similar to videos, but be think One Piece. So you know how you have your One Piece edits on Instagram or TikTok, wherever social media you use. You could maybe have something where you actually follow Luffy around, like as he's fighting like the Gorosei or something like that, and that could be a really interesting thing from like a entertainment's perspective, because like oh you have multiple angles to observe it from. It could be how the ship is interacting with the water, how Luffy is flying this guy, like the speed and all that. So that's something I've been thinking about. It's also like new forms of vlogging. Maybe vlogging may look different. Maybe you may want to shoot differently to make the viewer feel more involved. Um, Podcasts are interesting because podcasts is something, even though you're meant to just listen to audio, I much prefer having like a visual correspondent for a podcast, like just something I can look at when they're talking. Yeah, it makes it more engaging for me. So that could be another thing. Like maybe you just have like a chair angle, like in a sense, and that could even be short form content, which I think will be really scary, but also really cool to see. Where it's like you just like click something, you go to another space, and you go to another space, and you go to another space. I think it'll be really, really awesome. I think I think right now there's a lot of limitations, and that's why I emphasize the next social media wave, because I just don't think the hardware nor the software is currently there. Like the last time I used my VR headset, I think was a couple months ago. And it's just like I just could not foresee myself using that for like 2 hours or more. Right, where Instagram, like I even try and restrict my use. Like I have to force myself to restrict my use of Instagram. But like with virtual reality, it's like it's very easy. Like you kind of pushing yourself to even use it more. There's also a lot of other constraints. Like there's not an ecosystem for virtual reality that really encourages you to stay within the system. Like oh, like for Nintendo Switch games, for example, like other people play, so I can talk to other people about it. But for VR, not a lot of people around me have VR headsets, so it's kind of like a siloed experience, kind of. So it's really not fun when it's a siloed experience. Um, all that to say, I do believe, I do firmly believe in 20 to 25 years that those problems, those barriers will not be in the way, or at least would be overcame. I don't know which one is the word to use there. So that's kind of exciting to see, especially spatial intelligence. I think when it comes to spatial intelligence and world models, I think what's so awesome, especially even with like the NVIDIA Ignite application, is that I've kind of like found something I'm really really interested in the sense where it's like I I can't predict the future, right? But I do think it's awesome to have something, a technology that you're really excited about, like just pop up in your mind randomly as you're doing homework. And I think that's something I'm really excited about because for a long time with research, it was really just a matter of what was hiring, right? And it's like, oh, I did AI in education, but I was like, a large reason I did AI in education besides my me being interested in education was because that was like the only role available. I just like fit into that circle, that niche. But now it's like more so I don't see like circles available. But now I'm just trying to like mold myself into something I'm interested in, which is a completely new direction. I'm really interested to see how that goes because it's not something I've done before. Um, but yeah, I'm going to continue looking into it. I think that's something that maybe that could be a startup idea in 5 years or maybe now. I think it's definitely something where I think it's like a Goldie Roger thing where it's like you're too early for the One Piece, right? Um, yeah, I think it's too early, but maybe building the infrastructure is really important. At least when it comes to generating worlds, the I don't think the consumer base for that social media aspect is there yet, but I do think there's people interested in generating those walls for various experiences, whether it's for just redesigning your house, whether it's for entertainment purposes. I do think it's there. I know Feifei Lee has her World Labs. I do think something I'm really interested in is working that side. So I'm actually saw a really cool tweet about how if you want to get into AI research, you can either go from you can either go from the image gen side or the text gen side, like large language models and all that. I think that's a very true statement. I think for the longest time I've been looking at the large language model side of like AI research, but now I'm kind of shifting as I go down. everyone try doing this, especially because I think what's been so interesting, like vision language models or vision models for a long time really scared me because they seem really complex. I do think they're so complex, but it's like encountering that it's really fun to learn and make it seem less daunting step by step. Besides that, though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.